Hi Taurus, welcome to your October 2019 love reading. It's Raina here. Oh, I just burnt some sage and waved it over this table to kind of, give some good vibes. I'm using the Wild Unknown tarot deck. And it looks like I was going to say, it looks like I have all these cards upside down. So, but I didn't, so I can't. The rule is I can only start over again if it keeps happening. This reading is intended for people who are single as well as people who are in relationships that they're considering leaving. So the heart of the matter, I have to look at it upright in order to see what it is, because this Wild Unknown Tarot deck doesn't have the easy to identify imagery. So in other words, this is the Six of Wands, but you would never know it by looking at you'd have to really pay attention, but looking at the butterfly, you wouldn't automatically know what they were talking about. So in the upright position, the Six of Wands is a card of receiving recognition, receiving praise, having a victory. In the reversed position, it's the opposite of that. So for somebody in a relationship, you may feel like it's not just about your relationship is not working out, but also you may feel a personal sense of failure. Now, whether or not this is reasonable is a different story. You may be taking responsibility for something that is not yours to take, Taurus. In other words, it might not be your fault that the relationship is the way it is, except for perhaps when you were choosing the person, maybe you didn't make the best choice at the beginning, but in terms of behavior, you may have given it your all, and somebody else may have been mailing it in or just not invested in the relationship. And when somebody does that, there's not really anything you can do, and it certainly isn't something to feel as a failure. It's a lesson, and it's actually can be a good thing, because you can see the contrast between what you have and what you want. If you're single, you may feel like you can't get going. I think, though, that for some Taurians, if you're single, you may even feel like you have a hard time being attracted to people who are nice to you, who recognize good things about you. You may gravitate towards people who are critical or withholding of praise, and that can be a dynamic. I mean, nobody would consciously do that, but it shows up when you're dealing with another person's behavior, and when they compliment you, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then it could be a sign that you have a hard time receiving accolades and praise, which is what the Six of Wands in the upright position is all about. And I mean, the only exception with that is sometimes you have the borderline personalities or narcissists who lay it on really thick, and they act like the perfect mate until they get you hooked in, and in some cases like isolated from family and friends, and then they turn into these monsters. So obviously I'm not talking about people who are phony with praise and who are a little bit too good to be true. I'm talking about just somebody who sees the good in you and remarks upon it, and you just cannot trust them. And if they were to like start to criticize you, you might not like it, but you might feel like that's more comfortable because it's something that you're used to. So it could be something along those lines, or just a feeling of like having one failed relationship after the next. In the past position, I got another reversed card. Now, I don't get these very often anymore. Daughter of Swords, which is the Page of Swords, but upside down. This could be somebody that you have dated in the past who was a nightmare. This could have been a, excuse me, an air sign. So that would be Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. This person, you know, pages are called daughters in this deck. And I refer to them as the traditional term, which is page, because people understand that better. And pages are considered children, but if they are representing adults, they're immature adults. And when it's turned upside down, like you know, when it's a reversed card, then it's even more indicating that this is something is haywire, where the person is not acting like an adult. A Page of Swords reversed can be somebody who is very paranoid. They can be, you know, the kind of person who takes offense very easily, and then they are the first one to hurl an insult at you as kind of a protective device or a defense mechanism. And you're not even trying to attack them, and they're doing this. And they can be very, it's not even just like, I mean, it's abusive, but it's going to be, I feel like, also coming from their own paranoia, where they really do feel like they're constantly under attack, and they have to defend themselves even when nobody is trying to put them down. And with anytime there is a swords reversed with a relationship reading, I often think of the person who is a gaslighter playing mind games also. And that can make you not trust your perception. Like, even if you wanted to leave, you might start to really feel guilty, like I'm wrong for doing this. And so if you have been lucky to get out of that type of relationship, you may, I mean, this may even be several years ago, but you're still afraid of possibly having another person like that come into your life. So maybe you've been avoiding relationships, but now you really want one for some reason. The higher message is the Six of Pentacles. This is something I think that Taurians can appreciate, because this is a card of give and take. Actually, I'm going to admit something. Actually, I was thinking of the Seven of Pentacles when I said Taurians appreciating it. But I mean, still, you are Pentacles, so you can appreciate this too. As the spiritual message, I think that one of the first ways, if you do resonate with what I just said about being afraid of attracting somebody like the Page of Swords in reverse again, is that you know, have a relationship, that you don't commit to somebody right away, that you get to know them very well over a period of time. Not, sometimes with these people that are really bad news, they call it love bombing. They will come and they will like really come on very strong, and they will, write you poetry, and they'll just always be calling you it's like they're petitioning you for love and a relationship, and they just come on really strong until they hook you, and until they get you to move in or get married like very quickly, and then that's when a lot of the trouble begins, because then you're kind of stuck, or you're in love with them or something like that. And so that can make a person feel like they have to be in that relationship. But the Six of Pentacles specifically is talking about mutual investment in this situation. And one of the things you can tell as a red flag is if you're the one who's always, trying to get the other person to engage you. Maybe they only call you when they want sex, or and they may try to pretend that they want to see you, but it's always late at night, or it's always at your place or at their place, and it's not really, going out to the movies and to, and if it's to dinner, there's like this kind of sense of a rush job, and they're not really talking. They just seem to want to get what they want to get. So these kind of things, when you open your eyes, you can see the patterns very easily. But as the spiritual message, expecting from the other person to show interest to you as well, that it's not just you with them. What crosses you is the Two of Cups. I got this for another sign. I wish I could remember what sign it was. I think it might have been Aquarius. And if it was, I remember that there were other cards that made me think of like Taurus. And I mentioned, and that's why I was saying the Daughter of Swords, that could be an Aquarian. That's one of the air signs. But I remember saying something like, Taurus and you are like completely different types of people. But mentioning that sometimes, even if that's the case, there are other things that the people have in common, or that it really does occur. So this card, as the challenge card, the Two of Cups can be a reunion with somebody. So maybe there's somebody that you really have never gotten over, a relationship that you have been trying to forget with all these other relationships that have failed, but you just can't. And, this could be a twin flames situation for sure, because from what I have read, there can be separations with those people. But this can also be a lack of forgiveness. Doesn't have to be with a former love relationship, like a romantic relationship. It could be from your childhood. It could be something that makes it hard for you to trust, makes it hard for you to really feel worthy of, having somebody who, like the Six of Wands in the upright position, who really cherishes you, and that has to be healed. And this is also a lack of commitment. The Two of Cups in the upright position is a card of commitment. So if you have this challenge, you may be with someone, and maybe this is a pattern. If you're single, you may go make a beeline towards a person who is incapable of commitment. And even if they do commit, even if they do get married or you do move in together, they still are acting like they're single. And if that's a pattern for you, you have to look at yourself. It's like, is there something within you that is afraid of intimacy, afraid of commitment? Instead of, looking at the other person and saying, oh God, isn't this terrible that this person is like this? It's better to just look at the self and to be very honest, like how you are, you know, what your attitudes are about relationships. If you're really eager for one or if you're afraid of it. What's coming in, or the advice, is the Four of Cups. This is one of those cards in this deck that really creeps me out just because of the way it's drawn. And I do love these drawings, but some of them are very macabre. And that's actually why I chose this deck, because I was thinking of Halloween. But man, the Four of Cups, and you know, the funny thing is that this isn't really depicting what the Four of Cups represents, because the Four of Cups is about a sense of maybe like a flat emotion or something like this. To me, this is more of like a creepy thing. And the Four of Cups isn't a creepy feeling. It's more of a feeling of dissatisfaction in life. A feeling that you're not emotionally enthused by whatever and whoever you're dealing with. So as advice, it's asking you to look at that, because that will be your guide. Your feelings, how you feel about something, is the best way to gauge whether or not you should continue to pursue it. Taurus is an earth sign, and earth signs are not operating from emotions. They're operating more from common sense. And, you know, which we could call like kind of a earthy logic. And because of that, that can sometimes make you a bit disconnected from your emotions, because you may just instinctively shy away from emotion because you fear the illogical quality of emotions. And the reason I feel I can articulate this is because I have Taurus rising, and I don't have any water in my personal planets, although fire energy, which is you know, if you have, I mean, for some of you, if you have like either Aries, Leo, or Sag placements in your inner planets, that can replicate emotions, but it's not personal in a sense. But there can be that emoting for sure. But I'm talking about really connecting with how you feel about something. You may not wish to do that. You just want to function, you know, kind of like be able to tolerate a situation. And the upshot could be that you prolong a negative situation. So the more you can really pinpoint your feelings about somebody, and if you're single, sit with your feelings. Don't run away from them, because that will be the precursor to being able to visualize and attract the right person to you. The kind of the preparation for that is to sit with your feelings and see what comes up for you in terms of the type of person who is right for you. Because it's very hard to know what you want when you are repressing a lot of stuff. You may be in denial, you may be like disconnected, and getting as clear as possible is very important for manifesting. Because if you're kind of like, you know, head in the clouds or confused, you're going to have like conflicting desires. You may be torn between two outcomes or even two types of people that you're attracted to. And you need to really like sit with that to really see if that's right for you. Because once you get it in your head, let me think if I can give you an example. Let's say that you've always been the kind of person who has really been impressed by somebody the way that they dress. I know that's very shallow, and maybe it even seems insulting to some Taurus people, like I'm accusing you of being that shallow. But Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is the goddess of love and beauty. So quite honestly, this is one of the pitfalls in romantic relationships, is an overemphasis on the physical. And I think I lectured Libra about this when I did their reading. I think I did it because it sounds like a very familiar rant that I had the other day. And so it's really important to like question your beliefs and preferences. And some people, I remember I was reading an interview with Rod Stewart, the famous rock musician, and he was talking about his type. He said, that's not my type. My type, he said, are leggy blondes that I think are taller than him, like 6 foot tall leggy blondes. And he actually had just gotten divorced from his latest wife or something, and he said, I'm going to try something different. I think it was something like that. And so the point is that people do tend to get into these physical ruts, if you will, where they really are attracted to a certain physical type. And yes, it's probably usually men who do this because men tend to be more visual, but I could see women doing it, maybe not with actual looks, but maybe it's the way they dress, or they have to have this kind of car. I know that's materialistic, but you're an earth sign. So these kinds of things you do give great importance to possessions. You rule the second house of money and possessions. So, whatever. I'll take the criticism, but I just wanted to give that as an example. Whereas you could say, this is what I'm typically attracted to, but I'm going to make it a point to not ask the person what kind of car they have, if they have a car. I'm going to try to do everything different than I normally do so that I can break out of this pattern, because I have this, history of broken relationships, and I really want to commit to somebody. And if you're confident that you're not running away, that could be a great thing. And you might actually break the pattern. There's a good chance that you will. The outcome is the Eight of Cups. Again, this is another card that you would never know probably what is going on with this meaning. The Eight of Cups is leaving what no longer serves you, and talking about it emotionally, that you're not feeling it anymore. If you're in a relationship, that could lead you to leave a relationship. Now, in November 12th, there will be a full moon in your sign. And this means that the opposite house will have the sun there in the opposite sign of Scorpio. So this is the house of marriage and committed partnerships. So that might be when this all goes down. Maybe it isn't in October, but the point is that in October, it may be the time when you are realizing the futility of a relationship. For some of you who are single, the Eight of Cups may be referring to a spiritual quest. And I think I might have gotten the Eight of Cups for you in the general October forecast, I'll have to check because somebody just wrote to me and I could have sworn she was a Taurus and talking about becoming more spiritual. So not quite sure about that, but in any case, very intriguing. So it might be that there's something else that you feel called to do. Maybe you realize that you need to heal and you're doing some kind of inner work. And that's what the Eight of Cups means to you. And, you know, that it's a very interesting thing. I don't know, there was another sign that I got that I did the reading before yours. Not sure which one, but it was kind of similar about doing this kind of spiritual work, being on a spiritual path. And I was joking that this is supposed to be a love reading and people want to hear, you know, I'm going to meet this person now and this person. Maybe it's meeting a Scorpio. I think the Eight of Cups is a Scorpio. And, you know, as your opposite sign, it would feel like a piece of a puzzle that fits together if it was a literal Scorpio. But if it's not, it might simply be that you are, and I don't know if the Eight of Cups is connected specifically to Scorpio. Maybe it's a Cancer, or maybe it's a Pisces. But if there isn't anybody in your life, or nobody is meant to come in this specific month, you may be doing inner work that get to the root of something that has, you know, created a lot of resistance within you when it comes to intimate relationships. So that would be cool. That would be a wonderful thing. So I honor your journey, and I hope that you resonate with this. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. My website is rainamoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.